Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen had always been different. Not in the obvious ways that made headlines. He wasn't a genius like the scientists or a tactical prodigy like the fleet admirals. His difference was quieter, stranger, and until today, completely useless. He could hear machines. Not literally, of course. Marcus wasn't insane. But ever since childhood, he'd possessed an uncanny ability to understand technology at an intuitive level. Engines spoke to him in vibrations. Computer systems whispered their problems through barely perceptible electronic hums. And spacecraft. Well, spacecraft sang. Right now, the US Meridian was singing a song of worries. "Sir, we're picking up something on long-range sensors," reported Ensign Sarah Kim from her station. "It's big." Marcus looked up from his engineering console. As the ship's chief technical officer, he spent most of his time in the engine room. But today, Captain Reynolds had asked him to pull bridge duty. The captain valued Marcus's unusual insights, even if she didn't fully understand them. "How big?" Captain Linda Reynolds asked, her weathered face creasing with concern. "Approximately 4 kilometers long, ma'am. Configuration unknown. It's not matching any known vessel designs in our database." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The Meridian's sensors were humming with an odd frequency. Not fear, exactly, but anticipation. Like a hunting dog that had caught an interesting scent. Distance? 2 light hours out, moving in our direction at sublight speed. Captain Reynolds stood from her command chair. "Any response to our standard greeting protocols?" "Negative, ma'am. We tried all standard first contact procedures. No response on any frequency." Marcus closed his eyes and extended his senses toward the ship's communication array. The equipment was functioning perfectly, but there was something else, a subtle interference pattern that shouldn't exist. He'd never encountered anything like it. "Captain," he said quietly, "I think they're jamming our communications." Reynolds turned to him. "Based on what data, Commander?" "Based on..." Marcus hesitated. "How do you explain that the ship's comm system was whispering about invisible barriers?" "Based on the harmonic distortion in our outgoing signals. It's too uniform to be natural interference." The captain nodded. She'd learned to trust Marcus's technical intuition, even when he couldn't explain it properly. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. As the Meridian's klaxons sounded, Marcus felt the ship's systems shift into a higher state of readiness. The fusion reactor's hum deepened. Weapon systems came online with eager electric whispers, and the shield generators began their steady, reassuring pulse. But underneath it all, Marcus heard something else, a resonance that made his teeth ache. The alien ship was doing something to space itself, bending reality in ways that made his enhanced senses scream warnings. "Ma'am," called Lieutenant Torres from the tactical station, "the alien vessel is accelerating. They'll be within weapons range in 6 minutes. Any sign of hostile intent? They're not powerful weapons, but..." Torres paused, frowning at his displays. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout their ship. It's like they're charging every system simultaneously." Marcus's eyes snapped open. "They're not charging weapons. They're preparing to scan us." "Scan us how?" Before Marcus could answer, the alien ship's true nature revealed itself. A wave of energy erupted from its hull, not destructive, but invasive. It washed over the Meridian like a tide, and suddenly Marcus could hear everything. Not just his own ship's systems, but the alien vessels as well. And what he heard made his blood run cold. The aliens, the Nexari, as their ship's memory banks called them, weren't just scanning. They were cataloging every piece of human technology, every innovation, every tactical advantage. They were digital archaeologists, and humanity was their latest discovery. But there was more. Images flooded Marcus's mind. Dozens of other species, all cataloged, all studied, all conquered. The Nexari were an ancient race that had perfected the art of technological theft. They would study humanity's defenses, copy their innovations, and then overwhelm them with their own weapons turned against them. "Commander Chen," Captain Reynolds' voice seemed to come from very far away. "Marcus, what's happening?" Marcus realized he was on his knees, his hands pressed against his temples. The alien scan had somehow amplified his abilities, creating a direct neural link to both ships' systems. Information poured through him like water through a burst dam. They're copying everything, he gasped. Every schematic, every tactical program, every defense protocol. Captain, they've done this before. Hundreds of times. They find a species, steal their technology, and then use it to conquer them. The bridge fell silent except for the alien energy still washing over them. Marcus could feel the Nexari systems methodically dissecting every aspect of human engineering. How long do we have? Reynolds asked grimly. Marcus extended his consciousness deeper into the alien ship, riding the scan beam like a data stream. What he found there was both terrifying and inspiring. The Nexari had absorbed the knowledge of dozens of species, but they had never encountered anything like humanity. Most species, when faced with the inevitability of conquest, simply surrendered. Their technology was cataloged, their worlds absorbed, their people either enslaved or eliminated. But humans were different. Marcus saw flashes of human history stored in the alien databanks. Warfare, survival, adaptation. Humanity had spent millennia fighting itself, developing not just weapons, but the mindset to use them. The Nexari had conquered peaceful traders, scholarly civilizations, and even a few warrior races. But they had never faced a species that turned warfare into an art form. Their scan is almost complete, Torres reported. Whatever they're doing, they'll be done in 3 minutes. Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Instead of trying to block the alien scan, he embraced it. He opened his mind fully to the connection, letting his consciousness flow into the Nexari ship systems. The aliens' technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also centralized. Every system was connected to a single master computer that processed and stored all the stolen knowledge. It was their greatest strength and their fatal weakness. If you're listening to this story and you're impressed by humanity's determination to never give up, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started with Marcus's incredible journey. Marcus felt the alien ship's surprise as his consciousness invaded their systems. The Nexari had never encountered a species that could interface directly with technology. Their scanning beam, designed to extract information, had become a two-way street. Captain, Marcus said, his voice strangely calm, I need you to trust me. I'm going to do something that might seem impossible. What are you talking about, Commander? I'm going to turn their own technology against them. But I need the entire crew to do exactly what I say when I say it. Reynolds looked at her technical officer, a man she'd known for 3 years, who had never led her astray. The ship is yours, Marcus. What happened next will be talked about in military academies for centuries. Marcus, through his unique neural link, began to rewrite the Nexari ship's systems from the inside. But he didn't stop there. He reached out to every piece of human technology the aliens had scanned, turning their stolen knowledge into a weapon. All hands, Marcus announced over the ship's comm system, prepare for synchronized system activation. On my mark, I want every system on this ship to operate at maximum capacity simultaneously. Sir, Torres called out, that could overload our power grid. Trust me, Marcus replied, his consciousness now spanning both ships. The overload is the point. Through the alien ship's sensors, Marcus could see the Nexari crew scrambling to understand what was happening. Their stolen human technology was activating on its own, creating feedback loops that their centralized computer couldn't process. Marcus shouted. Every system on the Meridian flared to life at once. Engines, weapons, shields, communications, life support. Everything operating in perfect harmony. The energy signature was unlike anything the Nexari had ever encountered, and their scanning beam, still connected to Marcus, carried that signature directly into their ship. The result was catastrophic for the aliens. Their master computer, designed to absorb and replicate technology, tried to copy the Meridian's synchronized activation. But human technology wasn't just about the hardware. It was about the chaos, the redundancy, the beautifully imperfect systems that humanity had developed through millennia of trial and error. The Nexari ship's systems began to overload and cascade failures. Their perfectly ordered technology couldn't handle the creative chaos of human engineering. If this moment gave you chills, smash that like button. Marcus is about to show these aliens why humanity never stays down for long. "Commander," Captain Reynolds said, watching the alien ship's energy readings fluctuate wildly. "What exactly did you do?" Marcus smiled grimly, sweat beading on his forehead from the mental strain. "I gave them exactly what they wanted, human technology. All of it, including the most human thing of all, which is the refusal to be conquered." The Nexari ship was dying. Marcus could feel its systems shutting down one by one as the alien crew struggled to regain control. But he wasn't finished yet. Through the connection, he reached out to the ship's memory banks, to the stored knowledge of all the species the Nexari had conquered. What he found there broke his heart and steeled his resolve. Hundreds of civilizations, all reduced to data points in an alien database. But the data was still there. The languages, the cultures, the technologies that had been stolen and never returned. "Captain, I need you to contact Earth immediately. Priority Alpha, the jamming, is no longer a problem." Marcus had seized control of the Nexari communication systems. "Tell Fleet Command that we've encountered a species that has been systematically conquering other civilizations through technological theft. And tell them that we now have access to the knowledge of every species they've destroyed." The next several hours were a blur of activity. The Nexari ship, crippled but not destroyed, sent out a distress call that was intercepted by Earth's deep space monitoring stations. More human ships arrived, followed by diplomatic vessels and research teams. The Nexari, faced with a species that had not only resisted their conquest, but had actually turned their own weapons against them, were forced to negotiate. It was the first time in their 1,000-year history that they had been outmaneuvered by a primitive species. The negotiations were complex, but the outcome was revolutionary. In exchange for their freedom and the restoration of their ship, the Nexari agreed to share the stored knowledge of the conquered civilizations. More importantly, they agreed to help humanity locate and restore the surviving populations of those civilizations, species that had been scattered across the galaxy as slaves and refugees. Marcus, meanwhile, became something of a legend. His unique ability to interface with technology made him humanity's primary liaison with alien systems. He helped establish protocols for first contact, developed new defensive technologies, and most importantly, began the process of returning stolen knowledge to its rightful owners. But it was 6 months later, standing on the bridge of the newly commissioned UES Liberation, the first ship designed specifically for rescue and restoration missions, that Marcus truly understood the magnitude of what had happened. "Commander," reported to Lieutenant Kim, "now as communications officer, we're receiving a signal from the Kethera system. It's the survivors of the Zelnari civilization. They're thanking us for returning their cultural archives." Marcus nodded, watching the stars through the view screen. In the past 6 months, humanity has gone from being an isolated species to being the galaxy's liberators. The Nexari incident had revealed not just the existence of other civilizations, but the systematic oppression they had endured. "Sir," Kim continued, "there's something else. The Galactic Council has officially extended membership to humanity. They're calling us the Chain Breakers, the species that ended the Nexari threat." Before we wrap up this incredible story, I want to hear from you in the comments. If you could have any superhuman ability like Marcus's tech interface, what would it be? Let me know what power you'd choose to help humanity reach the stars. Captain Reynolds, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of the Liberation Fleet, joined Marcus on the bridge. "Hard to believe it all started with a single ship encounter," she said. "It didn't start there," Marcus replied, his hand resting on the ship's control panel. Through his connection, he could feel the Liberation's eager anticipation for their next mission. It started the moment humanity decided that being conquered wasn't an acceptable outcome. The Admiral smiled. The Nexari picked the wrong species to catalog. They picked the wrong galaxy, Marcus corrected. Because now that we know what's out there, we're not going to stop until every enslaved species is free. As the Liberation jumped to hyperspace, heading toward a system where Nexari slave camps still held prisoners from a dozen different species, Marcus felt something he'd never experienced before. His ability to hear machines had always made him feel isolated, different, alone. But now he realized it had made him exactly what the galaxy needed: a bridge between organic life and the technology that could set them free. The Nexari had spent 1,000 years believing that superior technology guaranteed victory. They had learned, too late, that technology was only as strong as the will behind it. And humanity's will had proven unbreakable. In the depths of space, aboard ships scattered across 100 star systems, other humans were already preparing for the next phase of liberation. They had learned something profound from Marcus's example. Sometimes being different wasn't a weakness to be hidden, but a strength to be embraced. The age of human expansion had begun, and it will be defined not by conquest, but by liberation. Marcus Chen, the man who could hear machines sing, had become the conductor of a galactic symphony of freedom, and the music was just beginning.